background, but it like, ooh, never mind.
Hi, so I am Thomas Voracek. I'm with Legal Services of North Florida. I'm one of the attorneys here, and I'm here with Mandy Bianchi. I hope I'm saying that right. With Ability First.
Yes, so nice to see you this morning.
Likewise, so we're here on National Disability Independence Day, and I'm very excited to be talking to you because I know that your organization does a lot with disability and with independently living people and trying to make sure that their quality of life is good. So let's just dive right into it. I wanted to ask you what is disability independence?
When somebody is experiencing any type of disability, physical, mental, emotional, um, it is so important to allow that person to have a say in their life, in their destiny, and what we specifically promote is living. So we really believe that somebody should have an opportunity to have their own faith and be able to perform tasks for themselves and do almost as everything as independently as possible. It is just very good for somebody's mental health. It's good for somebody's morale. It is just a very important movement that we really try to teach here at the Center for Independent Living of North Florida, also known as Ability First.
Well, I think you're touching on this issue of that disability can be a spectrum, right? And it doesn't mean the same thing for everyone. There are varied abilities that people have. It doesn't mean that somebody is going to not be able to live independently, like you just said. There might be certain tasks that somebody needs assistance with or needs help with, and there might be totally other tasks that they can do themselves. Um, and I'm borrowing this from Disability Rights Florida, shamelessly borrowing it. But in the law, there are these things called guardianships, and they can. I'm not saying anything controversial here. They can be pretty restrictive because the idea is that if it's somebody who is what we call incapacitated and unable to make decisions for themselves, that we in the law we remove the power for that adult to make those decisions for themselves and give it to some other adult, usually a family member, under the theory that this other person has their best interests at heart and can care for them. There are some situations where that is necessary, unfortunately. It doesn't have to happen all the time, though. And disability rights has been preaching, and I think that they are right to be preaching this idea of guided decision making, so that there are many people who don't need that sort of intensive intervention. I'm sure you can talk about that too. You definitely see a lot of these issues.
Definitely. I think there's a lot of different components just from helping someone feel confident in their abilities and giving lessons on life skills that they may not have picked up along the way. The goal is just for somebody to have that reassurance that they are able to mostly do what they need to do for themselves, and it's not as complicated as it might seem at times. Um, we teach so many different things, just from budgeting to acquiring benefits that people didn't know that they were even entitled to light things like cooking and doing some cleaning, and to be able to share that information with someone could make a world of difference in their situation.
So, I mean, you've touched on some of the stuff that you guys do, but I wanted to ask directly. Pretend I'm a potential client or a patient, or I don't know exactly what you call your
We call our clients consumers.
Okay.
Because they are essentially using our services. And
Okay.
it is a way to make it obvious that it's a relationship as opposed to just us giving them something. It's something that we do to work together.
So if I was a potential consumer, kind of take me through what resources, what sort of programs, what things would Ability First be able to offer me?
Well, I'll start with the one that we are most known for, which is our program that provides mobility ramps to individuals who are possibly in their homes, not able to come and go as freely as they would if they weren't experiencing some type of physical disability. So these ramps can be big or small. They're all wooden ramps. So they're extremely sturdy. And we have our ramp coordinator go to someone's home, assess their property, assess the level of danger that somebody is in, trying to get down steps, or there's a big distance between the home and the ground. And then we acquire the materials and gather volunteers, and we can have a ramp built in 4 to 6 hours, sometimes 2 hours, just depending on the size of the ramp and the amount of volunteers we have. And all I can say is that people tell us that their life changed over a matter of hours. And family can come and go more. They can get out to go do things. They can go to medical appointments. They can go grocery shopping. It's just a complete freedom that they didn't have before.
Right. It's a bridge into the world.
Yes. And we call the program Access to Independence.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's Ability First. That's what we're most known for. But we have a lot of other different services. Right now, we're focused on homeless services and housing. That is, as you know, one of the biggest challenges that we're facing in Tallahassee, in Florida, and in the country. And when a person does not have shelter, they are so vulnerable. But a person who has a disability is even more vulnerable. I can just say that we have somebody who we've been working with that said that they are unsheltered, and when the shelter itself is closed during the day, this person gets on a city bus and just rides all day long to stay in the air conditioning and to avoid being a victim of a crime. They've been beaten, they've been robbed, and this person is legally blind and basically living in fear. So it just makes somebody so much more open to being abused or a victim of a crime, to have their belongings stolen, their few belongings stolen. So we're really trying to work as hard as we can to help homeless individuals experiencing disabilities to get them into permanent supportive housing. But it's a huge challenge with the cost of rent just skyrocketing. And it just seems like we get someone housed and then there's a waiting list of 100 people right there behind them. But we're working really hard. We have, dedicated outreach teams. And it is definitely a process. We could meet somebody in the woods who has been living out there for a long period of time, but eventually we can help them get some identification, which is huge. We can help them get just some basic necessities like a tent. Then we can kind of work our way up to getting the medical benefits or entitlement benefits. And then, the hope is that we continue to move them toward housing. So that is something that we're always busy doing right now.
Right.
It's been completely exacerbated by COVID. So for the last 3 years, that's what we've been focusing heavily on. But some of the other things, we receive donations of incontinence supplies, medical type things like wipes and bed pads and you name it. We receive just amazing amounts of donations from people who either family member passed away or who just have an abundance of supplies they don't need any longer. But we also receive wheelchairs, walkers, shower benches, rollators, canes, anything like that. We are able to sanitize and get right back out into the community. So that's one of our very popular programs. Otherwise, we work with students to help them make sure they graduate and then help them get into the workforce through the vocational rehab department. And we actually do have a victims of crime program where we assist individuals who either became disabled from an attack or were attacked by some or victimized in some way. So we have counseling services and support groups. Finally, we have a mental health program and a substance abuse program for people who just are struggling with a lot of things. This is kind of a catch-all program because, so many people are struggling right now. Right. So in a nutshell, we're just a very supportive organization. We just have a lot of skilled social workers, very sensitive and compassionate staff, and we really just have a desire to help people ultimately live independently.
And I can attest to that last statement because I know that legal services has had many referrals from you guys. I know I've had referrals from you guys. And I know we've sent people your way as well. And that I've seen people come back or talk to me and say, yeah, no, I got these, mobility aids from Ability First, or I talked to the folks at Ability First and they helped me with vocational rehab. So I've definitely seen the work that you guys are doing in the community, and it's fantastic work.
Same with legal services. We really feel comfortable doing that warm handoff. We're not just gonna give them a phone number and hope that they figure it out. We really do want to make the process as easy and stress-free as possible because we all know how challenging and frustrating red tape is. And the last thing we would want is for somebody to get extremely far in this process and then give up because, they didn't receive stellar treatment or customer service. So we're so grateful to you and to our other many community partners who all basically have the same goal. Right.
And, I can echo what you're talking about because, as a lawyer and as an organization that's doing legal services work, we are dealing with kind of almost intractable issues. These are not things that are going to get fixed right away. Just by their nature, somebody is coming to me on a very stressful, maybe the worst day that they've had.
Worst day of their life.
Yep. So, what legal services does, we have a whole wide ambit of services. We have 5 different offices. We cover anywhere from Jefferson County out to Escambia County. And we have offices in Pensacola, Panama City, Fort Walton Beach, Tallahassee and Quincy. I know I jumped around a little bit there, but but I'm in the Tallahassee office, but I cover all of those different counties and do. It's called administrative law work, but it's essentially any sort of entitlements and public benefits. So anything with food stamps, anything with Medicare, Medicaid, anything with nursing home evictions or nursing home issues.
Mm-hmm.
The big one, veterans benefits, but the big one is Social Security. And I know I've gotten people from Ability First on Social Security issues.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it's so that those benefits can mean the difference between surviving and not surviving for so many people, unfortunately.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah. So legal services, at least, my realm of these public benefits, we can assist people in making those initial applications, answering questions about them, and then importantly, if you are denied, explaining what the denial was and if there is a good cause for appealing it and challenging it, and hopefully getting those benefits that somebody is entitled to. Because kind of like you're saying, or you were saying, it's not a quick process, unfortunately.
No.
The bureaucracies and the government systems, I don't want to cast stones. I do understand that the programs are helping people, but there's a lot of people that are not treated, frankly, the way that they should be, and that have to wait much longer than they should have to get benefits.
Definitely. That's why it's so great to all work together, because if they get these small wins, that it just like inspires them to keep going.
Right. And there's a continuum of care, and there's a way that these things build on each other, right? So that if somebody has the mobility aid, they can literally walk to do, whatever legal issue. They can meet with me, for example.
Exactly.
That, just would not be able to happen if these things were done independently.
Right. And we are able to do things like purchase bus passes. We can sometimes arrange for an Uber. We can, honestly, we love to network with other groups. This is a not as human services intensive thing, but we had a gentleman who got his first home. And we always say, is there anything you think you need? We try to stock them up with furniture and cleaning supplies and toiletries and things like that. But we're just like, is there anything you can think of? He said, I would love a CD player with some gospel CDs. Such a small request.
Right.
Not really within our budget. As far as, we have a lot of different funding streams, and that doesn't really fall in to any of those budgets. And we were all willing to pitch in and buy it for him, but we just put a little plea out on Facebook, and if anybody has a CD player laying around and some gospel CDs, let us know. We had someone buy him one on Amazon, and it was here the next day.
Oh.
And it was so sweet. They bought like mixes of gospel songs from different eras. It's just amazing what you will receive if you are just willing to put the ask out there.
Right.
But we've asked for a lot of other things too. Hey, we need a bed, we need clothing, but we're always going to work our resources.
Right. And I think, I mentioned that my organization, we cover that wide service area. So as long as you're in that area, please call us. What geography do you guys cover?
We cover basically the whole Big Bend.
Okay.
We go all the way over to Madison, and anywhere in this Big Bend region.
Okay.
So 16 counties of the Big Bend.
Okay. So as long as you live somewhere within those 16 counties, you can call Ability First.
Yes.
Okay.
And sorry. It's important to share that we do have other centers for independent living. all over the state and the country, and we really try to network with them just to come up with best practices and cool ideas and resource sharing. So we not only have our local community, but we have other centers for independent living that we collaborate with.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this. You're gonna laugh, but is there a charge for any of your services?
No, there's no
It's
charge.
completely free.
Yes, and the majority of people that we do serve are low income,
Right.
but the community at large does use our services to borrow a wheelchair or borrow some crutches, or they might have a situation where they're immobile, and I mean, I don't know how much it would cost to buy a wheelchair.
It's
Probably,
a lot.
yeah, a couple $100 to $300, and it's just a short period of time. I mean, that just doesn't make sense. But we're really happy to do that, because when we do something minor like that, there's always some type of threefold return. Somebody puts us on their list that they're going to donate to every year, or spreads the word about what Ability First does. So
Right.
We're happy to, it's nice that we do work with the low income consumers, but it's nice that we do have a couple offerings for the community as well.
Right. And I will say also, legal services does not charge anything either. So people that need legal help, call in. We can see if we can do anything, or at least explain to you what's going on with your problem.
That's amazing, because I mean, when you think, oh my gosh, I have a legal issue, I'm never going to be able to afford this. I mean,
right.
I think it's just so comforting to know that there are resources out there.
Right. So we've talked about what we do, what our organizations do. What could somebody in the community, or maybe even a family member or a friend, do to help non-able-bodied people with accessibility, or with just maintaining a better life?
Mm-hmm. Being an advocate is number one. We have consumers of all ages. We primarily do serve adults, but they're not elderly only. They're people of all age categories, 18 and up. And so being an advocate for that person, I mean, being a cheerleader for that person, like we said, the bureaucracy and red tape is enough to make you want to give up. Waiting on the phone for hours at a time,
Right.
it's enough to be like, forget it. I give up. And so to just be someone, to encourage and, help gather resources, that is probably more valuable than even, financial support. So that's what I always say. It's hard being a caregiver, and it's hard being the person who receives the care. So having, a positive relationship just really makes it a whole lot better.
Right. And I think, I mentioned guardianships before, and you can probably tell this is kind of an area of mine that I feel passionately about. I see a lot of family members, and I understand why. I see a lot of family members where they have a child who has some sort of a medical issue.
Mm-hmm.
But because they're a child, they're making it work.
Yeah.
The parents are able to take care of them. The parents are able to talk to doctors. The parents are able to talk to the schools. Because they're a child, they can do all of that. The problem happens when the person turns 18. Because as soon as somebody turns 18, unless there's been a legal determination otherwise, it's assumed that an 18-year-old can make all of those choices and legal obligations and choice and everything else that you, I, and anyone else out in the world can make, so that they can buy things for themselves, that they can sign contracts, that they can decide where they want to live, who they want to associate with, everything under the sun. Even if in actual lived reality, that is not at all possible. Either just like completely not possible at all, or, you know, we would have to have some sort of a guided decision making and talk more about disability independence. I urge people, I cannot stress this enough, to think about how you're going to deal with when your child turns 18, and do it well before they turn 18, because there are avenues, there are things that can be done, whether that is a power of attorney or, like I said, a guardianship, or there's something called a guardianship advocacy, or if it's just kind of an informal network. There's a lot of different options. There are things that can be done, but once somebody's turned 18, the train has left the station. And the things that need to be done, those many options that I talked about, they can't happen in a day. You know, if you come to me as a lawyer, or any lawyer, they're going to tell you, well, this is going to take a lot of time to do, and your kid is rapidly approaching the age that they are going to be legally allowed to do whatever they want, and that you as a parent can't get information about them. You know, that a doctor is going to look at you and say, well, this person's an adult, I can't talk to you about what's going on, or I can't have you giving treatment to your child, or I can't give you records from your child, because they're not a child anymore, they're an adult, and legally they have that ability. So please think about it, reach out to somebody, whether that's legal services, or whether that's disability rights, or whether that's Ability First, or one of our other community partners. But please do something, because I see so many people that unfortunately I have to tell, look, it's too late, you know, and now we're going to have to wait, and we have this big problem.
Yes. Well, I mean, my own child is 21 now, and it's still such a shock to not be able to call the doctor or, you know, do things for them. And they definitely relied on me a lot to make phone calls and make decisions. And now I can't really do anything.
Yeah. Now it's them, and they have to figure it out.
Yeah. Sometimes I think they wish that they had given me some type of additional powers past the age of 18, because, you know, there's a lot of things that you have to figure out and learn. And when you are experiencing some type of disability, it, you know, it would require even that much more work to try to do all these things. So I totally agree with you in these cases.
Yeah. And along with that, you know, the prior planning will help achieve that sort of disability independence that we're talking about. Because if you wait until there is some major problem, you know, I hope that doesn't happen. But if some medical issue happens where, you know, you're at a hospital and there's a major problem, by that point, you know, we've crossed so many bridges that now we have to go to the more intensive option.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You would like for it to be a gradual and gentle process, as opposed to a red alarm
crisis. Yeah.
I think that's wonderful advice. I really do.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, I see it a lot, and I know I've talked to so many lawyers who see it a lot. I would be kicking myself if I didn't try to get that word out there.
I think that is a really wonderful message, and some legal advice.
Well, it's not legal advice. Really, this is just general talk. Yeah. But I mean, I know we've talked a lot we've talked a lot about various things. What other resources are out in the community? I mean, I know I've mentioned legal services, I've mentioned disability rights. You obviously Ability First is here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure with all of your connections, you have tons of things.
We have so many different services. And which ones were you asking about?
Just resources, anything that somebody who was non-able-bodied.
Well, Disability Rights Florida, of course. You already mentioned that. They're just such a great resource. We work with the Family Promise of the Big Bend. They're our homeless services provider. We work with Capital City Youth Services. They provide crisis management for families and youth. Let's see, the Elder Care Services is somebody who we work with a lot and try to not duplicate services because, we do some of the same things, but have a niche. We each have a niche. Gosh, there's so many. There's over 1,000 nonprofits in Tallahassee. We work with Brehon Family Services. They provide shelter to homeless, pregnant women. And we have a lot of overlap with them. Refuge House is a shelter for domestic violence victims. We work with them a lot. If you called us, we could just rattle off a lot of different names of places to go to. And we always love to refer people to 211 Big Bend. Mm-hmm. That is just a wonderful resource. Otherwise, you can get into, APD and disability, the Florida Developmental Disability Council. Luckily, there's just a whole lot of organizations that are willing to help.
Right. I can attest to that. I've definitely I've dealt with almost all of those people that you've talked about. So
awesome.
They're all doing fantastic work.
Yes. We really, really try to work together and have, good relationships, fun relationships, because this is hard work and we really try to lift each other up.
Right. No, I definitely echo that. It is hard work, but we have to keep going on because we have to make the lives of people better.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I think the last thing that I would ask you, I don't know if there's other stuff that you wanted to talk about, but the last thing, if I wanted to get in touch with you, how do I do that?
Well, the best way is to give us a call. Our number is 850-575-9621. Our website is on the bottom of the screen. We're located right near HCA in Tallahassee, which was formerly Capital Regional Medical Center.
Yep.
So we're really close to that location, which, works out well for us. And we have somebody who answers the phone, 8:30 to 5:30, and they can help get anybody who calls us to the right person.
Yeah, and for legal services, like I said, there's 5 different offices. You can so if you want to be one of our clients, if you think you have an issue that we can help you with, you need to do an intake. Unfortunately, we have to get some information from you, and then the different offices then take that information and review it and see if there's something we can do with it. And then we reach back out and say, either we can help you or we can't help you. And give you some sort of an answer timely. The hope is within a week. But like I said, there's 5 different offices. You can either do an intake in person in the Tallahassee office, the Quincy office, the Fort Walton Beach office, the Panama City office, or the Pensacola office. Our website is also, I'm glad you mentioned that because I wasn't even going to say it. I was just going to say it. The website is lsnf.org, but it's also on the bottom of the screen. It's a white, and I call it blue and purple. There's a purple button on the top right that says apply for help. And
Perfect.
that's where people go. If you click that apply for help button, you're going to be directed through a bunch of prompts where it will ask you a little bit about yourself, your demographic information, and then explain briefly what the issue is so that we can get an
Cool.
idea of what's going on. All of that information stays in-house. It's totally confidential. It's just, you need to be able to figure out what's going on. Or you can call one of our offices. We're open from 8:30 to 5:15 local time in those offices, Monday through Thursday. So our offices are closed on Fridays, so we can get a lot of the work done.
Yeah.
Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 5:15, and the different offices have different phone numbers that you can find on the website. I'll just give the Tallahassee one. It's 850-385-9007, and there will be a friendly intake person who will basically ask you all of the questions that the online form would be asking you. So if you prefer to do it that way, that's totally fine. But that's how it would be done.
Awesome. Well, I just really appreciate this opportunity to chat with you. I've actually learned some things myself, and I'm just so grateful that we're partners.
I am as well. I mean, like I said, I've heard and seen the great work that you guys have done. I'm really, really happy that I got the chance to talk to you for the little bit of time we had this morning. And I'm sure that we'll be seeing more of each other. And I definitely hope that the word of this gets out and that we are able to help some more people.
Absolutely. Well, I hope everybody has a great day.
Likewise.